tell you, Pastor Ed is one of the most generous, kind, and encouraging people I know. And thank you so much. What I love about real life is this, and what I love about Pastor Ed, if you know anything about him, is he loves people. And he loves the Lord and he loves people. And what I love to do is sit back and watch, and I get to see the stories of how you love on your community and how you bless people around the world. And man, what an honor it is just to know you. So thanks again for having us and allowing us to be here today. My wife couldn't be here today. We have 5 kids, and of our 5 kids, 2 are married. Our oldest 2 are married. Our oldest daughter serves as a worship pastor in Alaska, and her husband also founded an organization called the Gear Up Project, where they provide gear for missionaries that are headed to Alaska. Wow. So many missionaries go to Alaska and they have their North Face coat and they're ready to tackle the villages, and then they realize it gets 60 below in some areas, and that little North Face jacket just doesn't work. So they provide gear for our missionaries in Alaska. Our oldest son and his wife serve in the youth department at River Valley Church in Minneapolis. And then our oldest daughter just left Wednesday with my wife. They flew up to get registered and orientation for college. She begins college this year, and she's headed into the wonderful mission field of education. And so she is excited about that. So sorry my daughter and wife couldn't be with us today, but they're here in spirit. And I have my other 2 with me today, Drew and Taylor. They're looking for girlfriends. If there's any available girls around, let me know. They love it when I share that. They're excited about that. But there's my beautiful bride and our youngest daughter, Julia, as they're away at school. Pastor Ed said, man, we are so excited about the venture. We've served over 20 years in the local church and excited about where God has headed us. And everything that we did, we really, youth ministry through Speed the Light, Pastor Chris, and through what we've done there. I've always loved missions. We've always raised funds for Speed the Light. We've always led and taken mission trips for years. I did mission trips for our district. And it's really a part of our DNA and a part of our family. Of who we are and what we do. And a couple of years ago, the Lord just began to stir our hearts and says it's time. And we've been on this journey of preparing and getting to where He wants us to go. And today we serve as directors of project management for Builders International. What we do is this. There's people in our own cities, but all around the world that are living a hopeless life. They have absolutely no hope. So our heart is this, is that all around the globe, all over the world, that we're there to help build hope. We build hope by building buildings where they encounter Jesus Christ. And that's our heart. Just to give you a little touch of what we've done, in 2019, before COVID hit, Builders International had a hand in building 106 churches, 53 schools, in 54 different countries. And that's our heart. You want to know why? Because all over the world, when you build a building for a church, there are churches meeting all over the world that don't have a building. But the statistic really is this, when a church overseas secures a building, within a couple months their attendance doubles. Their people get excited about what God is doing and what God is providing for them, and they begin to invite, and they begin to see life change in communities because buildings are being built. You know, in Honduras, we had a missionary that said, hey, in Honduras, God's calling us to build 100 churches in Honduras. And what a goal, 100 churches. Could you imagine 100 churches in Honduras? But can I tell you this, through God's faithfulness, through men and women who said, hey, we're going to partner with Builders International. We're going to help build these churches in Honduras back in February. You'll see a picture there back in February. This is Pastor Brad, our Builders International missionary, and to the left is Pastor Johan. Pastor Johan is a young man that pastors one of the churches. In February, we completed Church 122. Can I tell you that our initiative for 100 churches is now 100 plus. Wow. Honduras 100 plus, because God is so good. We just completed Church 127, and we have the materials bought for 128 and 129. We are so excited about what God is doing. But all around the world, God is doing amazing things. We have a missionary in the Ukraine who began to work with some medical professionals and said, hey, let's go out into some communities and let's make a difference. Let's see what God can do in our community. So they went out in their communities and they began with these handful of medical professionals, which began to grow. Can I tell you today, over 200 medical professionals that know Jesus Christ in Ukraine have began to volunteer their time on weekends to go out into communities and host free medical clinics. At the medical clinic, what happens is these people come in to receive free medical care and they hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. So in the Ukraine, in the last few years, they've hosted over 300 medical outreaches where people hear the gospel of Jesus Christ, and over 10,000 people have accepted Jesus into their lives.
Yeah.
God is so good. What you'll see next is a building because this is a building that's going up in the Ukraine. It's called the Hope in Action Medical Center. The Hope in Action Medical Center was birthed out of these medical professionals, not our missionary. These medical professionals says, we're doing this on the weekends, but we could volunteer during the week. If we had a building, people would come to us and hear the gospel and receive free medical care. So we partnered with missionaries and medical professionals in the Ukraine to build a Hope in Action Medical Center. In that medical center, it houses church facilities, it houses school facilities, and it houses medical facilities where people can come, hear the gospel, have their life changed, and have physical care all in one building. We are so excited about what God is doing. And can I tell you, it's all around the world. Currently, we have over 76 projects in 53 different countries that are going on right now. We have teams right now from the Bahamas that are in the Bahamas that they're rebuilding a Christian campground and churches from the hurricanes over the past few years. We have people that are in Ukraine working on this building. We have people that are working on churches in Honduras. We're building a Bible school in the jungles of Ecuador. So 600 tribes that have never heard the gospel will have missionaries from that Bible school that will go out and share the gospel to tribes that have never heard it. That's the sole purpose of the Bible school. We're excited about that. But can I tell you, in the Philippines, every year, over 7 million children are sexually exploited and molested in the Philippines. Every year in the Philippines, these children that have no choice of their own, they're left at home or they're picked up on the streets and they face abuse that we can't even begin to imagine. So right there in the Philippines, we have an orphanage. And it's not just any orphanage, but it's an orphanage for the sexually abused kids there in the Philippines. Now, of course, it won't house 7 million kids. But this orphanage stays completely full and has for years, and they have no more room. So what we've done is we've gone in and we've partnered with this orphanage and the missionaries there on the ground in the Philippines, and we said, hey, let's expand your facilities. Hey, let's dig you a well so you never run out of water again. Hey, let's build you a hydroponics plant so you can grow your own food so that you can take care of these children. So if COVID happens again, you're not wondering where your next meal is coming from. You're growing it there on site. We're expanding the dormitories so that they can have more kids. We're building buildings there for house parents to come so that they can have more kids, someone to help take care of these kids. But I want you to see a picture. This is Amy. Amy, at the age of 15, had her mom had passed away. And for years, her dad had been sexually abusing Amy. And at the age of 15, nobody knew. Amy kept it a secret and nobody knew. But this is what happened for Amy. At the age of 15, she became pregnant with her own father's child. Her mom had passed away, and at that point, there was no way to hide it anymore, and Amy confesses to what's been happening of the abuse in her own home. Her dad is now serving time in prison for what he had done to his daughter. But can I tell you, Amy, at the age of 15, found herself at this orphanage, and it was at this orphanage that Amy was introduced to Jesus Christ. Her life was transformed and changed in daily chapels where she heard the gospel. Her life was transformed at the age of 18. She graduated high school, and at the age of 18, when you graduate, you age out of the program at the orphanage. But this is what happened. The leaders of the orphanage, our missionaries, said, hey, we believe there's something special about Amy, so they helped Amy. Beyond her graduation of high school, they helped her get into college. She completed a BA degree, and then from there she went on to law school. And now Amy has completed law school, and she's currently waiting to take the bar exam in the Philippines. Wow. Because somebody believed in building hope in the lives of people around the world. But here's the coolest part of the story. Amy said, you know what God did for me? He changed my life. He transformed my life. Somebody believed in me. Somebody gave me hope. Yeah. So Amy says, as an attorney in the Philippines, my goal is to be an advocate for some of the 7 million kids that are being sexually abused and solicited every single year. So Amy will be an attorney for children who are being sexually molested in the Philippines. Why? Because God is in control and he's doing great things around the world. You know, we're globally assigned, so many missionaries are assigned to one particular country. We're assigned to all of them. We had a missionary once that likes to joke around. And he would say, you know, you're not even a real missionary because God didn't even give you a country. And our response to that is God only trusts you with one country. He gives us all of it. So the truth is currently 53 different countries, 76 different projects that we get to build hope around the world. And we can only do it through partnerships of our churches, and we want to say thank you for what you guys are doing for missions. Thank you for what you're doing in your own community. Can I tell you, people right here in Fort Mill are hopeless, and they need hope, and you are being a light in your community. Thank you for what you're doing here and around the world. And Pastor Ed, thank you so much for having us and the opportunity to be here today. We'll be available right after service. I have some prayer cards. Would you just say some prayers for us? Believe with us as we travel around the world to make a difference with what God is doing by building hope through buildings and buildings. Thank you, Pastor.
Praise God.